Welcome to the latest episode of In Conversation With from Demolition Hub and, of course, Demolition Hub TV. Now, today, I'm joined by a supplier to the demolition and asbestos industries, two industries that we are hugely favourable to, and we look after, and we like to think we promote. We certainly try to champion both of them. Now, I'm joined by Steve Peacock, the Operations Director at Prime Safety, Kent's leading health, safety and environmental quality experts. Prime offer CITB, IOSH, UCATA, and NDTG approved training courses. Now, I'm going to find out a bit more about Steve, the company, and a little bit more very shortly. Let's let Steve into the chat. Steve, I just did my introduction on Prime Safety, Kent-based training company, approved courses for UCATA, NDTG, CITB, IOSH. Have I missed anything out?
Not on the training front, no. That's predominantly what we deliver for accredited training. Got a large suite of online accredited courses, not just construction. So everything from personal alcohol licensing to abrasive wheels and warehousing, mental health, lots of stuff. And then obviously we've got the qualification side of the business. So all of our MVQs, which is through the sister company, Prime Qualification Services. So everything from level 2 to level 7.
Good gosh. Okay. You supported us since we're a year old today, by the way, as Demolition Hub. You support, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We had a bit of a do last Friday. Don't know if you heard.
I did. Shame we couldn't be there, to be fair.
We'll get you down next year. We'll get you down. It's going to be in the Midlands, the next British Demolition Awards. We'd love to have you there. As I was saying, you guys, you and Adam supported us from day one, and I'm ever thankful. So we really appreciate your support, and we'll certainly push you guys in all our mediums, because what you do, you offer great courses, great opportunities for people to develop. And we've had a lot of case studies, and a lot of people tell us likewise. So it's a great synergy between us. So just wanted to get that in early doors. A bit of thanks there from myself. So, Steve, yourself, how did you start off in the industry? Is this something you've been in for a while? Checking your LinkedIn, I can see, obviously, a fair bit of time. But tell me about how you got into the industry, what attracted you to it, and what developed to how you got to where you are now.
Well, I suppose I've got my wife to blame initially. Met my wife nearly 20 years ago, something like that. 10-year wedding anniversary this year, so we've just got through that milestone. And my wife's family, her brothers, brother-in-laws, nephews, they're all in the asbestos industry, various companies around the southeast. And it was a case of, at the time, my job that I had, which had a good job, it wasn't paying as much as what the asbestos and demolition industry, was paying. So started weekends, doing the odd bit of stripping for various different companies, and then ended up going full time. Started off as an operative, moved into a bit of supervising, surveying, set up my own company, doing asbestos removal and surveys and a bit of low-level soft strip demolition works. And then it just evolved, and I found that when I went for my first asbestos license with my own limited company, the need from the HSE for license holders to demonstrate competence. There was this whole thing around this word competence, and in the end, the HSE have taken it out of the CDM regs, because we were asking the HSE, what do you want us to be competent? The guys are trained, the guys have got experience, and now they've replaced it with skills, knowledge, experience, training, etc. Or an ability, SCAPE as they call it in CITB world. So what I done when I went for my first license, and the HSE inspector said to me, "What are you going to do in the future to keep moving forward?" I quite luckily, but daft back then, because I really wish I hadn't have said it straight away, is I'm going to do my NEBOSH. I'm going to go and do my NEBOSH. And I'm not an academic person. And I registered for the NEBOSH construction, which was run over something like 14 or 15 weeks. And week 1, week 2, week 3, scoring 0 on all my homework. And I thought to myself, Jesus, I signed on to the right thing here. And all it was is it's the NEBOSH way. So if you ever heard anyone talk about NEBOSH, it's the way that they want you to answer the questions. Tutor got me through it. Ended up with actually quite a good score. I was only a couple of points away from a distinction. And I found that health and safety is something that actually, and hopefully people agree with me, it's something that I'm not actually too bad at. So that was 2009, moving into 2010. And within 6 years, I became chartered. Something that I never, ever thought I would be or say or anything like that. I probably see myself as a teenager. I probably saw myself more as a person holding up numbers in front of myself, coming from a council estate background, rather than having letters after my name. So, a bit of a strange transition, really.
It's normal. It's normal now. You're a professional in the industry. You know what you're doing back to front, inside out. It's your day-to-day life. So does it feel natural to you now, where you are? And does it feel natural to you now, where you are, what position you hold, and the skills you've obtained?
Yeah, I'm still. It's a fine balance because deep within, I still like to. I like to have a laugh. I like to have a joke. I like to play practical jokes. Sometimes I'm not quite as politically correct maybe as what I should be, and the girls downstairs keep me on my toes. But yeah, it's a fine balance between that that council estate lad and professionalism. But I think that is probably where we here at Prime have probably got a little bit of an edge, because we all come from that site background. And we can relate to the people coming through the doors. And when I've got guys coming through the doors that have been doing the job 25, 30 years, and they're telling me how, using colourful language, why have I now got to get an NVQ? I've been doing this job 40 years. Why have I now got some 25-year-old, come out and tell me that you've got to have an NVQ to get your card? I'll teach them how to use the bloody machines, So we can relate to them, obviously, because we come from, or certainly myself, I come from similar backgrounds, working class family, To
be able to relate to your customers is an important skill, isn't it? So having the on-site experience yourself, as soon as they realise that you're one of them, you're on the same level, putty in your hands, to excuse the phrase. More about the synergy. It works better.
100%. Yeah, we have. I have some colourful training sessions with some demolition and asbestos contractors. It's once the door's shut and we're in the training room. What kind of like boys on holiday.
What goes in there stays in there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they put the worlds to right, and occasionally I'll join in. So we can relate well to the customers. Very well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, a real big insight into yourself, where you sit now. Now moving on to Prime Safety themselves. How did the company start? How has it developed since those early days?
So started about 20 years ago. Adam, my partner, he's in the room, just out of shot. His dad started Prime Safety when he, I think he was probably just on the verge of leaving or moving away from working with Brown and Mason. So again, strong demolition and asbestos background. Tony set up Prime and had it for a number of years, and unfortunately passed away early 2019. And he's a prominent figure around the asbestos and demolition industry. He helped with, he's on the board of UCATA or whatever it was he was doing. He was involved with the inception of many schemes and things like that to benefit the industry, back in the the late 90s, early 2000s. It wasn't much there that Tony wasn't involved with. He's such a character. I've worked for Prime for about 10 years on and off, consulting, training, etc. From about 2010. It was actually 11 years now, nearly coming up 12 years. yeah, when Tony passed away, I get on very well with Adam, his son, who's been with Prime for about 9 years now. And Adam said, look, really need someone to come over that can help push it on. And myself and Adam had a number of discussions over the couple of years before Tony passed about the potential that Prime could have if it was to diversify and build upon its existing client base, with NVQs and construction trainers, as opposed to just asbestos and demolition. And with my background, CV and qualifications, it enabled us to apply for those accreditations with CITV, with IOSH, because they require chartered membership and other things. So yeah, I was a director at the time at another demolition, asbestos and waste company. So it was a difficult decision because I was at a very, very good job, working for a fantastic family, earning good money, and it was this opportunity of, do I stay where I am, where I know that I'm secure, or do I take that plunge and go over to Prime, help Adam, help Prime, push it on, and progress it to where it's going and where it's heading today. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a difficult time, but it's thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not a day where we don't laugh, and giggle and talk about Adam's dad and some of the scandalous things that he used to be involved in. But it's good. There's been more laughs than stress, that's for sure.
Really good to hear. Sounds similar to here, to be honest with you, but you need that. You need a bit of enjoyment in the workplace. Prime, what are your USPs? What sets you apart from your competitors?
Hands-on experience.
Yeah,
simple.
Yeah.
It's being able to relate to customers, knowing the problems that they've had, because I've worked for contractors and dealt with similar problems, and delivering quality. Being honest, telling them what we can do, telling them what we can't do. Someone phones up and asks us to do something, and it's something I'm not comfortable with, or I don't have the time to do it. It's a simple case of, look, we can't do it. However, I know somebody that can. And being honest and open and making sure that everything we deliver is delivered with quality. The feedback we get, the work that we've done in the last 18, 19 months with various contractors, it shows that, So yeah, just delivering quality, having high standards, and making sure the client gets what they need.
And to be able to allow the client to get what they need, you need clients. So how do you spread the word? How do you get the message out there and gain business for your services and courses?
Well, we do the same as what everybody else does. We've got a shiny new website that is, we pay for AdWords, and Charlie downstairs does a fantastic job with marketing, business development, brochures, emails, all that sort of stuff. But you can't beat good old face-to-face. We 100% we get more work when we are face-to-face with people, with clients, because we can sell ourselves. It's hard to do that, via an email or a brochure. And let's face it, we can all put a brochure together and say how fantastic we are. But when it comes to the crunch, are they actually that fantastic? So yeah, face-to-face is our best.
And where are you going to be for these face-to-face conversations to take place? The events are opening up now. There's the Demolition Expo next week over in Coventry. Where are you going to be? Where have you got planned to showcase your wares?
We are currently trying to target the more local market. We're not heavily pushing demolition and asbestos because we're well known for that as it is. What we are trying to do is we're trying to branch out just a tiny bit more into non-construction related and into more local construction companies. So for us, we're investing quite a lot at the moment in the Kent Construction Expo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Detling in just outside Maidstone. It's the biggest construction exhibition in the southeast, I believe. So we're there for the first time on October the 7th. But yeah, again, obviously I'm an IDE member, so I have to attend the IDE meetings for the demolition. Unfortunately, we can't go to the ARCA meetings because we're a competitor. So obviously we used to We used to tag along to those, but we can't anymore. So yeah, that, and just general BITA, British and Irish Trading Alliance.
Okay, no, I don't know them.
Very much like a BNI, without all of the complications. There's a local Kent BITA membership that's recently formed earlier this year, which I attended last week for a breakfast meeting. And I think it's twice a month, one in the morning, one in the evening. And we'll probably be looking at joining that and seeing how that goes. And again, it's face-to-face, getting in front of clients.
Excellent, excellent. Now, before we move on to the actual products themselves, a bit of a forecasting one. The last 18 months, 2 years have been ridiculous and bizarre for us all. How, if you can, with a crystal ball, would you envisage the next 5 to 10 years to go in terms of growth, development, expansions of services? Give us a rundown of what you hope, expect, and hope not happens in the next 5 to 10 years for Prime Safety.
We're currently trying to change the way that Prime has always traded, with predominantly using self-employed workers or 0 hours workers. So one thing we're trying to do at the moment is make everybody employed. The office staff, they're all directly employed, but our advisors, our trainers, they only work for us, but they're currently on 0 hours or self-employed. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we're trying to change that mold and going employed.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer.
Giving everybody security, and just carrying on doing what we're doing, to be honest, Ben. Just continually trying to build our client base, delivering quality services. We don't think that we've got to change anything. We've just got to carry on going as we go. When we took over Prime sort of 2 years ago, we did lose clients, because there was clients that were loyal to Tony, and we lost a few, but we have gained so many more. Building our reputation, delivering the quality of services, expanding the portfolio of services. We've gained a hell of a lot more than what we've lost. So I'd like to think in the next 5 to 10 years, we can certainly look to increase business-wise by probably 10-15% per year, if not more. It really, you'll know as well as I know, Ben, you're talking to other contractors, it's very difficult to get the right people, and more so in what we do, because they have got to be the right people. They've got to be the right trainers. If they can't click with my classes, it doesn't work. You may be chartered this and letters after your name that, but if you can't click with the trainees,
and do it the Prime way, I suppose, as well, the way you guys know it works.
Yeah. So if they can't do it, it won't work. So trying to find the right people is hard. We have just taken on a full-time lead IQA for Prime qualifications, a lady called Sam, lovely lady, very, very good at her job, very passionate about her job, and she's going to be now driving Prime qualifications forward, and giving that a real good drive and a push now. So that's probably going to be certainly Sam's focus over the next 6 to 12 months. Is really driving that forward, helping clients get their grants and things like that they're eligible for, so they can cover the cost of their qualifications.
Superb. On to products. Well, I say products, it's more going to be a product. Now, you know what our audience, our readers are. They're asbestos contractors, they're demolition contractors. That's two of our biggest sectors at Chambers Media. So give us a product, one particular key service, key training course. Tell us about it. Just one of them within asbestos demolition realm. Give us a bit about information about a particular course.
Can I do a qualification as opposed to a course?
Of course you can.
Yeah. So big thing in the industry at the moment, regardless whether it's asbestos demolition or construction, is the CSCS card or CCDO card. And the importance of that card, it demonstrates competence. And people sit there and go, if I've got a card, how does that make me competent? Well, you can't get the card until you've been trained. You can't get the card until you've taken a test. You can't get the card until someone has been to site to watch you work, and it can sign off and say that you can do the job and you can do it to a good standard. Now you're competent. There's your card. The big problem you've got, like we said only a few minutes ago, was many years ago, people used to get the cards from time served or granddad's rights, as they was called many years ago. I used to have one, and I'm 40 in a couple of weeks. But we used to get cards based on the fact that how long we've spent in the industry, and now you can't do that. You have to have the card. So whether you've been in the industry 40 years or you're coming into it, everybody's treated the same. Everybody's got to have the same levels of qualification. You can't just go by the fact that you've been driving a digger for the last 30 years. You've got to have the same qualification. And in the asbestos industry in particular, the HSE, they're making it, not making it difficult. They're up in the ante. They're making it a little bit more difficult to get and to keep your license, because they're expecting a very high standard of health and safety. And for me, when I was at a licensed contractor only 2 years ago, we pushed all of our supervisors through the NVQ route. We pushed our operatives through the NVQ route. We had every single member of staff, whether it was a manager, supervisor, or operative, with the correct card for their trade. When the HSE see that, they're like, oh, okay, so that's a robust training program. It's a robust development plan, making sure that everybody is qualified. It goes in your favour. 100% it goes in your favour. I was only online 2-3 weeks ago, online with a contractor and the HSE for their assessment. And we were talking about this, and it's the first time I've been allowed onto an assessment for as a consultant ever. Never been allowed. As a contractor, I was one of the competent people, but as a consultant, helping this particular client with their reapplication because they were denied first time round. It's qualifications. It's a big thing. It's not going away. People can fight it, but there's ways out there of if you're a CITB levy payer, you can get the bulk of your qualification paid for. You can get your money back. And this is the thing. This is what companies need to tap into. There's ways out there of actually getting your workforce qualified and covering, certainly for level 2s, probably 90% of your qualification or their qualification.
And you're there to educate them of that ability that they can tap into, almost like a rebate. You'll let companies know. You'll be a kind of I don't know how to say, maybe a consultative basis prior to the courses if a new company comes on board.
Yeah, our retained customers that we have, we email them all the time with various updates and things like that. We've even earlier this year emailed out to let people know that these grants are available. Have you tapped in to get your skills funding grant? Have you tapped in to get your training grant? Just to make sure that they're getting everything that they could possibly get. They're paying into it. They may as well try and get whatever they can back out of it.
Well, you threw me there. No problem at all. Give me a qualification, and it's a very useful one. My next question was going to be, how critical is it for a demolition contractor to have said training course? Being as you gave me the CCDO card, it's pretty bloody critical, isn't it? So in regards to that, we'll step past that, and I'll say, how have you found the take up from demolition contractors for that particular qualification? Is it good in the UK? Is it big? Do you have a decent size of the marketplace? And why are they coming back to you?
Being a new provider, I'd say we're certainly not big in the marketplace with it, but we are getting more and more signed up on a regular basis. I was speaking to another provider recently, only this week. They're quite quiet as well. Although we've probably got more demolition and asbestos than what they've got, because obviously our client base is more demolition and asbestos. But it's slowly getting there. The problem you've got is there's a number of smaller contractors out there. They're not NFDC members, which technically means they don't have to follow the NFDC rules, which is you must be a CCDO trained qualified person. So they kind of avoid the card scheme for as long as they possibly can, so they don't have that layout of money for the qualifications. But certainly the NFDC members that have to do it, they are doing it. They are doing it, and there is a benefit to it. If you if you train people, they'll save you money. Health and safety is often seen as an expense, an unwanted commercial expense, but it doesn't have to be. Train your workforce, you'll get less damage. Train your workforce, you'll get less injuries. Train your workforce, you get your jobs done on time. It's all money saving. It does
Makes
work.
perfect sense.
People have just got to buy into it.
Yeah, buy into it and not be educated, but be informed that it's out there. We have that trouble with letting people know avenues they can push their wares, this, that, and the other. It's all about communication and letting them know. And you certainly come across as a brilliant communicator and very passionate, which is great. I'm very conscious of time. Zoom gives us a limited, finite amount of time, which is why next time we'll do this face-to-face as the world is opening up. So before we go, before I do my summary, handful of personality questions about you, bit quick fire. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
It's the way that I've been raised. Watching my dad up 5:30 every morning. He went to the same place as well. My dad had 2 jobs. One of those was in the Navy for 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. Come out of the Navy, and he's been in the same job ever since. He hasn't got a fantastic job, but it's certainly one that gave us what we needed. He's still there now. He's due to retire, I think, next year, but I don't think he's going to. He gets a good pension from that job. And I think just seeing that he's been able to provide for us, I want to be able to provide for my family. I am proud. I like to achieve things. And I want to give the same to my 4 kids. I want them to see that if you want nice things, you've got to work hard for it, and you've got to put time and effort into it. You're not just going to get given things, although they do seem to get given a lot. I'll have to check on that one. I mean, they get far too much, but family, I think, is probably the main thing. Family, looking at, I've got a house, I've got cars, got kids, and that little family down in the southeast corner of Margate, that's what makes me get out of bed in the morning.
I can bet. Beautiful place, part of the world, part of the UK, certainly.
Beautiful.
Sorry, say that again, Steve.
It's been called many things other than beautiful, but it certainly is getting better.
I've heard very good things. How far are you away from Whitstable?
15, 20 minutes.
Practically next door. Practically next. We're 15 minutes away from Brighton, where we are. We leverage off that, I assure you. We're in somewhere called Worthing, not quite as nice as Brighton, but we really leverage on that distance. Steve, time is against us. Last one, a big favourite of mine. Your tipple of choice, just so I can remember it when I do see you in a pub. It
kind of starts off with beer, moves to rum or gin, and depending on the mood and the atmosphere, we'll move over to shots, depending on how messy it's going to get. But the hangovers are longer, and it takes longer to get over it. So I do try to be sensible wherever I can.
Well, I can't promise us being sensible. We'll have to make that happen sometime soon. You, me and Adam, some of my guys, some of your girls, we'll get them out. We'll have a good drink at some point.
Absolutely.
Steve, thank you so much for being a part of Demolition Hub TV in conversation with. This will be a great piece for us. Of course, Prime Safety features massively in Demolition Hub magazine, in Asbestos Hub magazine. You can find out their latest courses. We're also going to be doing a bit more of an in-depth interview with yourself, Steve, as you know, in Asbestos Hub, the next issue coming out. So thank you very much for your time. It's been really educational and interesting.
No problem. Thank you very much, Ben.
Thanks for your time, Steve. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers. See you soon. Thanks.
You will do.